Hi there. So in previous videos with Reason, we have looked how to configure Reason for MIDI, audio, and how to use the library to store presets. Now we will take things a bit further with Reason and see how to configure and store presets for external synthesizers and outboard gear. So let's hop into Reason and see how this can be done and applied in Reason. Okay, let's look into Reason and how Reason is configured for external synthesizers and effects, specifically storing the presets so that you can easily recall them. So let's start with the synthesizers. Of course, for a synth, you need to add a MIDI device. So you can go over here and pull a MIDI out device. One thing that you can do in Reason is that you can actually combine this and create a combinator. So that is through which you can then recall the synthesizer settings. So let's go here and do OBX8 as we have done in other videos, MIDI channel to 10. And that's pretty much it. And then of course you need an audio track to route the audio in. So this one was from, if I remember correctly, from 25 to 26 when it is OBX. So now I have configured the MIDI and I created a combinator to recall the MIDI. However, I can't combine that in my understanding with audio tracks. So I need to always create an audio track, but I can always recall the settings for OBX8 for the MIDI with combinator. So if I go now over here and save the batch and call it OBX8 and save it, now I have it saved, and now it's in that respect it's easier to recall it, but then the audio track I do need to always create. And let's just double check from our seed sheet that that was correct. Yeah, OB was 25, 26, so that should be okay. And then now when I'm arming the track for audio, and I go over here and I play the MIDI, it basically works okay. So now I stored the combinator and I stored it into my folder, which was in music, and then it was in Reason 12 and presets and track presets. So if I would like to create now a favorite for my synths and MIDI, specifically for MIDI, I could basically go create here a favorite, my synths, and then I can drag and drop the OBX8 configuration here. So now I have it there as well. And if I would need to recall that setting, I'll just, for an example, I got it. So now from the project, and if I would need to recall it, I can just go and drag the combinator here. Then when I look into the combinator, it has basically then the device in it. And now it's easier to recall, and you don't need to always set it. So that's the way to go with this, and to store specifically MIDI presets. And then another one is that if I would like to use an outboard gear for a effect, that is something that I need to do always. If I don't use a template, I could save this as a project template. But anyway, you need to go into the hardware section and then say audio IO and more audio. And I think the best way to, specifically if it's a reverb or an outboard effect like that you would like to include into your any of your tracks, then it's better to kind of route it through master section. There is another way to kind of like send the audio out and then have an own audio track to audio to come back in. But I think more convenient way to specifically this type of an effect is to send it out and return it from the master section. So what does that mean and how does that look like is that let's go into the rack, and now using a tab key we can go to behind of the rack, and there we have basically now once I extended it. So if I don't extend it, it looks like this. So you do need to extend the audio in order to see all the possibilities to route audio out and in from Reason. So if I would like to have it as a master part, so I could take now send and send it to the channel that basically is sending it to out, and then bringing it back into the return. So I'll take the number 5 and add it over there. So now it goes to 17 and 18, which should be correct from the cheat sheet. If we look also, this is yeah, it should be okay. Let's see for the outgoing signal, and then for incoming it comes from 27. So input into return. Okay, it didn't do a stereo. Let's do both. And now it is coming in. So now when I have that routing in place, and if I go into the mixer and I go into inserts and specifically now the FX send 5 and from the audio track. So let's do clean sound first and then you can see that it's clearly sending it out, and specifically if you increase the levels. It goes now out and it comes back in. So, and that's how you do it from the rack point of view and for the master section. So let's go back to mixer. And this is how you can then select how to send it or which channel you want to send to, for example, in this case, to reverb and play it and then arm them so that it does send out. And you can control the level from the mixer. But yeah, that's basically how to send things out to outboard gear and route them back in as part of the master section. Other way, of course, doing it would be then that you go from direct out from your audio track and you bring that back into an audio track if you want to record the audio, the effect specifically, and not include it into the master section. So we can do that as well. So let's delete, disconnect this one. Okay, disconnect that one. Disconnect. And now instead of like doing that, I do need to create an external, an additional audio track. So let's do that. And this create an audio track. Here now actually instead of selecting that one, I should go into, I think it was 27, 28. and I name it lexicon return. And then yep, it should be okay. Let's go to sequencer to arm it as well. Then back to the rack and then behind the rack. So now I do need to send this OBX8 audio track from direct out to that output. So let's do that. So let's send it there. So now it goes to directly out, and then instead of now mapping from here, I have selected that the audio will come from not like I don't need to do this, so that I pull it from here to the in, but instead of I just selected that it comes from a peer audio input. So go to the place. Let's see if we did things correctly. Let's select that one. Yep, we did. So we now audio is coming in here from the effect. If I mute it, then now the all audio is routed through that. So you cannot send it. You just basically route all the audio from OBX8 through to lexicon and then back. So this would be for an effect that you would like to use it to manipulate the sound, and not as an effect in the mixing or mastering phase. Give it more reverb. So these are the two ways of routing things. I do prefer the first one with the master section, so it's much more easier. And then of course you can send different audio and instrument channels or MIDI channels into that in your mixer, as we saw. That you just select that you want to send all these channels into it, and that's it. Yeah, so if you would like to save this as a configuration, like permanent configuration, then you can always go from here and save as a kind of a template, and then use that template when you are basically bringing it into the when you are starting from the scratch. So you could create your own template and save it from that point of view. Okay, let's go back here, and yeah, so these are the ways of using external synths, reconfiguring the MIDI for MIDI configuration to a combinator, and then recalling it with the combinator. So that's basically the easiest way to do that, but you do need to create an audio track for it. So that was Reason, and next we will look into how to use templates with different digital audio workstations and how to apply templates to improve your workflow techniques. So remember to subscribe for the channel for more content. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye now.